Hello everybody, I hope you're doing good today. This video will contain copyright material being used underneath the Fair Use Act for educational purposes. You know, plenty of people have been making videos saying Mark's vanished, he's disappeared. You know, people in the flat earth community insulted him and pissed him off, and shame on us all. How dare you? Well, that's not the case. Mark didn't disappear. He's still in the flat earth community. Mark's just being the little freaking coward he is and avoiding his critics and not answering them. His TFR show has been reduced to nothing more than reading emails. He quit taking phone calls after the Good Morning London interview because people were calling him out on his bullshit. And the only people that were calling him were the same handful of people. Zulu One and some guy in Santa Barbara, and, you know, a couple of other people. The same week, you could go listen to his previous shows. Week after week after week, it's the same freaking clowns calling him. He doesn't even have an audience on TFR. So anyways, he quit taking phone calls, and like the little coward he isn't going to answer to his critics in the flat earth community. Fellow flat earthers. You know, Mark, if you're going to put yourself on the pedestal as the king, then you're going to get criticized. And you better learn how to deal with it and answer those critics. If not, get the fuck out. Now, Mark Sargent wants you to believe that Kyrie Irving goes to Nike and tells him, you're going to make a commercial involving flat earth for me, and then you're going to pay me millions of dollars to do it. Mark wants you to think that's how this works, because he was promoting Kyrie Irving in his new commercial. So let's watch this new commercial that Mark seems to think Kyrie produced, and not the control system that runs our world, our TV set, our media, and so on and so forth. Our flat earth leader, Mark Sargent. Let's listen.
London. Also, Kyrie Irving released his brand new top-of-the-line A-grade Nike commercial, where he mentions in not so subtle terms that he still believes in flat earth with a giant spinning metal flat disc, which is fantastic. So check that out if you get a chance.
Yeah, like we live on a giant metal flat disc. Here's the commercial, and here's what Mark is talking about.
This is my world.
You see it? He spun a metal flat disc. They even had to put in the soundtrack freaking creaking sounds like it need oiled. Freaking outdated model, I guess. You know? Utter nonsense. And it only had South America on the one side, and it looked like up at the top part of the other side of the coin was Mexico and the Gulf Coast, and that was it on the other side of the coin. But certainly not any flat earth map that we know of. But yeah, Mark wants you to think that Kyrie said, hey, you guys are going to build me a flat earth disc, and I'm going to put it in my Nike commercial, because I own Nike. Get real, Mark Sargent. This is all propaganda. It's all psychological warfare. And it didn't stop there in this commercial. Let's listen to this little segment here and pay close attention.
Let's see that backwards.
How'd you do that?
Simple. Plant-based diet. Logo?
Did you hear that?
How'd you do that?
Simple. Plant-based diet.
Plant-based diet. So there you go. Like Patricia, like Eric Dubay, and many others. You got flat earthers pushing the 2021 veganism New World Order agenda. You know, Eric Dubay's done great things for the flat earth community, but I don't appreciate him going on YouTube and trying to shame me for eating meat. Nor do I appreciate Patricia telling me what I should be eating. This is the flat earth community, and this is why I decided to make my meatloaf video the other day. Because I'm going to throw it right back in their freaking faces. You know, Eric, you've done great work for the flat earth community, but if you keep on trying to shame me for my habits, I'm going to give you the middle finger and tell you where to go. All right, let's move along. Oh, God, what a picture. I'm sorry about that, folks. That's horrible to have to look at. Let's get right on this here. Mark Sargent's got a message to Mad Mike, as if he doesn't know how to he's acting like he doesn't know how to get in contact with him. You know, Patricia has his number, Mark. She admitted she called him and talked to him, and he didn't want to come on her show. So there you go. Ask Patricia. Let's listen.
Rumor has it that Mad Mike will be doing his rocket launch sometime before the NFL Super Bowl, and that's coming up in January.
Yeah, and you said it was going to be back in September and October and November and everything else, Mark. Just more lies from you, huh? Can't seem to keep it straight when this rocket launches. But listen to what Mark says here about it.
And if anybody is in direct contact with Mad Mike, let him know that I am willing to take his place. Never ask somebody to do something you wouldn't do yourself. I am willing to take his place in that rocket if he's having second thoughts. Happy to climb in that cockpit and get fired over that town and hopefully not auger into the ground and become a martyr for flat Earth. But if
utter nonsense. You ain't gonna do nothing, Mark. You're a freaking coward. You can't even answer your critics like a man should do. Coward. All right. So there you go. Message to Mad Mike. Mad Mike, Mark will get in the rocket since you won't. What bullshit. All right. So let's keep listening here because Mark's got a challenge to the scientific community. And pay attention to what he says about people with master's degrees.
I do, that's fine too. And with that in mind, all challenges have been revoked except for the Mark Sargent Flat Earth Challenge. This is my personal declaration of war. From Flat Earth Against Mainstream Science, I, Mark Sargent, hereby put forth a challenge to any university, foreign or domestic, to debate or discuss the Flat Earth reality. The short version is this: you fly me in, take care of my hotel, and I'll face down any scientific body you put against me. My only debate requirement is that you have someone with a master's degree in a physical science either participating in or supervising the event. Accept this challenge, and you'll be treated with respect. If not, then you're just cowards hiding behind empty equations.
Got a lot of nerve talking about cowards, Mark. Why aren't you answering your critics in Flat Earth? You're the one that appointed yourself king of Flat Earth, coward. So, he's not going to sit down with anybody in Flat Earth or anybody else unless you have a master's degree. All right, so let's move on to the next segment here. Let me break this down to you because this guy asks a long question to Mark in an email. Basically, he asks him, well, if everything we see is a projection, how come I could track satellites and track the use apps to track satellites and use apps to track the ISS? He says I could track the ISS going in front of the moon or the sun. You know, and the guy claims he took a picture with his telescope of the ISS traversing in front of the sun. But yet the guy couldn't supply that photo to Mark. He had to use another photo on a website. So this is Mark's reply to this guy about Mark's projection system and all of his other nonsense. And remember, he's just doing damage to the Flat Earth community because here you have a ball earther asking honest questions. When all Mark had to say was, what you're seeing up in the sky is wandering stars, and they've been around for hundreds of years. I remember back in the 60s, I used to camp out in the backyard with my next door neighbor in the summertime, and we used to watch them. I mean, all night long, you could see them traversing the sky. And nowadays, they're called satellites and space stations. Utter nonsense. That's all you had to tell the guy, Mike, or Mark. But let's listen to what the guy tells Mark.
And he shows me a thing on transitfinder.com with a picture of the sun with something going in front of it. It's like, look, it is part of a giant display system. That's where I'm going to start here. And that is, currently our technology is more or less limited to what can be seen at night. So you go into a planetarium, we can display stars and all the fun constellations and the moon and the waxing and waning crescents and blood moons and even comets. We can do those in the night sky with this is old technology, from back in the day when planetariums were used on the weekends for showing like laser Pink Floyd and laser Led Zeppelin, that sort of stuff. So this technology has been around for us and imagine what we can do now if we converted those planetariums to use like whatever the LED technology is, OLED or XLED or whatever the new one is.
What does this have to do with your projection system that's you say is the sun, the moon, the stars, and everything else, Mark? You're talking about a freaking building with a dome on it. You're not talking about the Earth.
In 8K, imagine what we could do right now if you spent a few million bucks on the ceiling of a current planetarium. We can do that.
Our current. Oh, so now he's talking about the dome above us. He wants to spend a few $million to upgrade it to 8K, I guess. You see the utter nonsense, this bullshit. Let's keep listening.
Right now. In fact, I put out a video recently. I think it was the company was called Colux.
Yeah, we need to see if Colux or whatever in their technology, what the company comes back to, what their patents are. I have a suspicion Metatron might be involved in this.
I believe which they have now designed flat panel monitors that can simulate I can't think of it. Sunroofs and skylights. Oh wow, geez, that totally threw me for a second. There's skylights in a ceiling. So you've heard the old construction saying, as useful as a skylight in a basement. You can put skylights in basements now. All it is a flat panel television that can absolutely simulate a sun penetrating an atmosphere, and it's blinding with a blue sky behind it. And they've had people, what they've done is they've gone up into buildings, like not to the top floor, like the second floor or the third floor down, and they've installed these skylights. And they've had people walk underneath them and absolutely will fool them. The people will look up, just glance, and they'll say, oh yeah, it's a sunny sky. You're looking through a glass ceiling. And we can do this right now. So do not tell me that what you're proposing here is impossible. We're at that stage right now where although our civilization will probably collapse before then, but we're at the point where we can start simulating some of the really high-end crap. And I thought that particular technology wasn't going to be ready for a while, and it is right now. Anyway, sorry. Let's see. Was there anything else he said about this? No. So honestly, with someone like this, an amateur astronomer, he's kind of lost anyway. There's not much I can do for this guy, because amateur astronomers are already, they're not full blown. They don't have a master's or a PhD in astronomy or astrophysics, but they might as well be. They're like a space groupie, where they absolutely believe wholeheartedly. I mean, Star Trek and Star Wars, the physical properties of transwarp space and light speed, they believe every aspect of it. It is their gospel. So not much I can do for him. I mean, I can tell him, like, look, we can do this, but he's not much I can kind of show him the way. I can put the idea in his head, but I don't think it's going to get much in the way of traction, because he's too far along. And I've said this since day one. Anyone that's got a master's degree in a physical science or higher in a physical science, be it astronomy or astrophysics or geology or hydrology or whatever it is, the doctrine's just too far in their head, and they're just going to have to listen to mainstream, and hopefully they'll get some.
So there you go. People with masters in science and whatever, astrology, and all that, they're too far gone. But listen to what he said here.
My only debate requirement is that you have someone with a master's degree in a physical science either participating in or supervising the event.
And that's just what happens when you're paid to lie your ass off. You forget what you say at one moment in time, and then you contradict yourself down the road a few minutes later. This is what happens when people lie, like Mark Sargent. Mark Sargent, the coward. He doesn't give people with master's degrees any time, as he just said in that previous clip. But in this one, he says he wants to debate one. Utter fuckery. So, let's listen to this one, little short clip here. More nonsense. He answers another question. Let's listen.
Hi, Mark. I don't seem to find the mention of planets in the Bible. Yet they are carved in ancient rock, etc., around the world, as well as men in spacesuits and what looks like space helmets. What is your take on that? New believer?
So, my take on that would be, how do you know these are ancient carvings? I can go right outside my door right now and find you an ancient rock. I mean, that's all you had to answer the guy is, how do you know this carving's ancient?
Flat Earth Lee. That's an interesting point. The planets, of course, they're just describing what amateur astronomers would describe now. I mean, if you grab that one guy we just had from a few emails ago and said, hey, amateur astronomer, draw what you just saw, he draws something that he thinks looks like a sphere, which is fine. People in spacesuits, though, think about it. Spacesuits don't just protect you from what we consider as space. They would more protect you from biological agents. Because remember how most of the Native Americans died in this country. They died from disease.
That's bullshit. They died from lead poisoning. Died from disease. Get real. That's the control system's lie.
And they were just being exposed to the diseases from the European continent. So wearing a spacesuit, and we've seen this in different science fiction things, biological. That's the big key here. You want to protect yourself from indigenous problems. You don't want to catch something that is the common cold. In fact, I'm pretty sure that was the thing from War of the Worlds. Supposedly this advanced technological race which wiped us out in a very short period of time, opened up their doors, and it's like they died because of just the air that we were breathing. That was it. And what, they wouldn't have tested that. Their technology wouldn't. I'm sorry, that's a plot hole. I hate plot holes. Love good writing. Hate plot holes. That was one of them. So if you want to know why there's a lot of people from other civilizations roaming around with space helmets, that's a good reason. Or you use drones, like Greys. From what we can tell, Greys don't really have any thing that they can get sick from. They're pretty much just drones, like fleshy robots. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I digress. I can go into other things. If I get off track and go into the weeds, don't.
Yeah, so if he gets off track, goes in the weeds, he believes in aliens. Later on in another clip I forgot to include, he believes in dinosaurs too. That's right. He believes in dinos. All right, this last little clip, let's listen to this. I thought this question was interesting and how Mark answered it. Let's listen.
This one's called Flat Earth Imploding. Hi, Mark. Paul here from Montana. I am disgusted by the backstabbing, backbiting, and nastiness taking place in the movement. Eric DeBay has a nasty parody about you and Patricia. I have lost all respect for him. Jeranism has a nasty video bashing Dean Odell. Even ODD has lost it. Why can't these people just keep their big mouths shut and stick to the issues at hand? What a way to sink the movement. Sorry, I just needed to vent this to someone. Paul. Yeah, part of it, you can blame part of it on just straight up competition, especially in the.
Mark, you've been in competition against Eric Dubé since you came on the scene. In fact, you didn't even like him, and you made that well known. It's part of the competition.
This country, everybody, we've made everything into a competition, and we love drama. If you think that's not true, look at all the reality shows that are out there, and they're all based on drama. In fact, reality shows, even the boring ones, that like cooking shows, now they've added drama to it. You've got to cook this thing in under 10 minutes with just a paring knife and an iron skillet, just a stick and a chewing gum wrapper. They always amp up the drama because people, they crave it, they love it. I don't so much, but I know a lot of people do. And so that's the big one. The other thing is that, look, it's a dysfunctional family. A lot of people don't get along with others. Eric, who knows what Eric's doing, although his channel was destroyed recently by YouTube, mostly for hate speech because of his hit.
Tell me, Mark, where was his hate speech on that video? There was no hate speech. It just went against what another group claims happened. He's questioning history. That's not hate speech.
Stuff. And Jaron going after Dean Odell, I mean, it's his right if he wants to. I hope.
Oh, see, it's his right to go after people like Dean Odell. Good old Jaron boy. But if we do it, we're trolls. Yeah. It's okay if Jaron makes a video about Dean Odell. But we're trolls if we make one about Mark Sargent. Mark, you're a coward. You fail to answer your critics in the flat earth community. Master degree or no master degree. You fraud. Have a good day, everybody.